I'm Joan. It's been a year since that fateful wedding at the Jasmine Bistro, and life has taken a turn I could never have imagined. The bistro has become a local favorite, not because of the fancy decor or the delicious food, but because of the warmth and love that fill its every corner. I remember that day like it was yesterday. The sun was shining, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of lilacs. I was sitting at the corner booth, doing my homework and humming softly to myself. Aunt Joan was wiping the counter, and Uncle David was locking up the kitchen. It was just another ordinary evening at the bistro. But then, the door opened, and in walked Mr. Thompson and his daughter, Emily. Mr. Thompson was one of the wealthiest businessmen in town, and Emily was the bride from the wedding. They were both smiling, but I could see the pain in their eyes. "Joan, we need to talk to you," Mr. Thompson said. I looked up, my heart pounding. I had no idea what they wanted to talk to me about. "Please sit down," Aunt Joan said, pulling out a chair for them. Mr. Thompson and Emily sat down, and for a moment, there was an awkward silence. Then Emily took a deep breath and said, "Joan, I want to thank you for what you did at the wedding. You saved my life." I stared at her, my mouth open. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I don't understand," I said. Emily explained that the groom, Jake, had tried to poison her with a sedative. If it weren't for me, she would have drunk the champagne and died. I felt a wave of relief wash over me. I had done the right thing. "Thank you," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Mr. Thompson then told us that he had spoken to an old friend at the Department of Social Services. He had arranged for Aunt Joan to become my legal guardian, so I wouldn't have to worry about being taken away. I looked at Aunt Joan, tears streaming down my face. She had always been there for me, and now she was going to be my mom forever. "Thank you," I said, throwing my arms around her. Aunt Joan held me tightly, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly safe. Over the next few months, things changed for the better. Aunt Joan and Uncle David got married in a small ceremony at the bistro. It was a beautiful day, filled with love and happiness. I was the bridesmaid, and I wore the white leather flats that Emily had given me. They were the most beautiful shoes I had ever seen. As I walked down the aisle, I looked at Aunt Joan and Uncle David, and I knew that they were meant to be together. They were my family, and I loved them more than anything in the world. After the wedding, we all gathered around the small dance floor. The music was playing, and everyone was dancing and laughing. It was a perfect night. I leaned my chin on the table and watched Aunt Joan and Uncle David dance. They looked so happy, and I knew that they had found their happily ever after. "She finally got her happy ending," I whispered to Emily. Emily smiled and said, "No, she built it." And as the music played on, I knew that I was home. But it wasn't always like this. There was a time when my world was turned upside down. I was just a little girl when my mom left me. I don't remember much about her, but I know that she was beautiful. She had long, dark hair and big, brown eyes. My dad was a good man, but he was always working. He didn't have much time for me. So, I spent most of my time with my Aunt Joan. Aunt Joan was like a mom to me. She took care of me, and she loved me unconditionally. She worked at the Jasmine Bistro, and she was the best server there. Everyone loved her. One day, my dad came home late. He was drunk and he was angry. He started yelling at Aunt Joan, and he said some terrible things. I was so scared. I had never seen my dad like this before. Aunt Joan tried to calm him down, but he wouldn't listen. He grabbed her by the arm and started shaking her. I ran over and tried to pull him off of her, but he pushed me away. I fell to the ground, and I hit my head. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. Aunt Joan was sitting next to me, holding my hand. "Joan, are you okay?" she asked. I nodded, but I was still scared. "What happened?" I asked. Aunt Joan told me that my dad had left. He had packed his bags and gone away. I felt a lump in my throat. I didn't want my dad to leave. "Don't worry, Joan," Aunt Joan said. "I'm here for you. I'll take care of you." And she did. She took me home with her, and she raised me as her own. She worked hard to give me a good life, and she never complained. but there was always a shadow hanging over us. We didn't have the proper paperwork to prove that Aunt Joan was my legal guardian, and I was always afraid that someone would find out and take me away. But then, that fateful wedding happened, and everything changed. I was helping Aunt Joan at the bistro when I saw Jake, the groom, slip something into Emily's champagne flute. I knew that something was wrong, so I decided to do something about it. I walked over to Emily and asked her if she was sick. She looked at me, confused, and I told her what I had seen. Emily didn't believe me at first, but then she saw the look in my eyes. She knew that I was telling the truth. She thanked me, and then she confronted Jake. He tried to deny it, but it was too late. The police were called, and he was arrested. After that, everything fell into place. Mr. Thompson arranged for Aunt Joan to become my legal guardian, and we finally had the peace of mind that we had been looking for. And now, a year later, I look back on that day with gratitude. It was a day that changed my life forever. I know that life isn't always easy, but I also know that with love and support, anything is possible. And I'm grateful for every moment that I have with my family. As I sit here, looking out at the lights of the city, I know that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm home, and I'm loved. And that's all that matters.